What you're about to hear is not just another confession. This is betrayal at a level most people can't even imagine. A young woman cheated on her boyfriend. Not with a stranger. Not with an ex. But with his own father. And that's not even the worst part. She got pregnant. It's the kind of story that sounds too twisted to be true. But it is. Raw. Real. And completely life-shattering. This is a confession about temptation, secrets, and the devastating cost of a single mistake. Watch closely. Because once the truth starts unraveling, you won't be able to look away.
I did something so disgusting, so unforgivable. I betrayed the man I loved. I crossed a line I can never uncross. Because I didn't just cheat on my boyfriend. I cheated with his own dad. And now, I'm pregnant. This is my confession. You're probably already judging me. But I need to tell the full story. Because I didn't plan for this to happen. I didn't wake up one day and say, let me destroy 2 lives at once. But life got messy. Lust took over. And one decision led to the next. Until it was too late. So if you think you've heard every crazy relationship story, trust me, you haven't heard anything like this. My boyfriend, let's call him Chris. We'd been dating for 2 years. He was everything I thought I wanted. Kind. Funny. Loyal. He'd bring me flowers every Friday. Cooked for me. Held me when I cried. We were the couple people envied on Instagram. But behind the filters, things weren't always so perfect. Chris had a weird relationship with his dad. They barely spoke. Lots of tension between them. Chris never told me why. But when I finally met his dad, I understood. Chris invited me to his dad's house for a weekend visit. I expected some grumpy old man in a polo shirt. But when the door opened, I was speechless. His dad, let's call him Mr. James, wasn't what I imagined. Tall, confident, in his late 40s, salt and pepper beard. The kind of man who walked into a room and owned it. He had this deep voice, and when he spoke, you listened. I tried not to stare. But something in me stirred. And I swear, I caught him looking at me too. It started small. Little comments here and there. I see why my son likes you. You've got a beautiful smile. When Chris wasn't around, the compliments got bolder. At dinner, he'd brush against my arm. Lingering eye contact. It wasn't just in my head. There was this energy. Dangerous. Taboo. But exciting. I knew I should have shut it down. But I didn't. One night, Chris went out to meet an old friend. Mr. James and I stayed back at the house. We drank wine. Talked about life. He opened up about Chris's childhood, his regrets, his loneliness. It felt like we understood each other. And then, he leaned in and kissed me. I froze. I should have pulled away. But instead, I kissed him back. And one thing led to another. We slept together. While his son was out. While I was supposed to be in love with that son. It was wrong. But in that moment, it felt so right. The next morning, I felt sick. Not from shame. From how easy it was to lie to Chris. He came back smiling, hugging me like nothing had changed. And I smiled back like a monster. But it didn't stop there. I told myself it was a one-time thing. But Mr. James kept texting me. Calling me. Telling me he couldn't stop thinking about me. And every time Chris went to work, I'd sneak over to his dad's house. I was living a double life. Lying to someone who trusted me completely. All for lust. Weeks passed. Then I missed my period. I took a test. Positive. I stared at that little stick in shock. Pregnant. But whose baby was it? I'd been with Chris. But also with Mr. James. Within days of each other. I was carrying a child. And I didn't know if it belonged to my boyfriend. Or his father. I felt sick. Ashamed. Trapped. I couldn't keep the secret anymore. I had to tell someone. So I told Mr. James first. He didn't even look surprised. He said, "I hoped this would happen." What? He wanted the baby. He wanted me. That's when I realized this wasn't just lust for him. He had feelings. He wanted to replace his son. He wanted a future with me. I was horrified. I knew I had to tell Chris. I couldn't hide forever. So I sat him down. Told him I was pregnant. At first, he smiled. Then I said the words. "I don't know if it's yours or your dad's." Silence. Then rage. He screamed. Punched the wall. Smashed his phone. I saw his heart shatter in real time. He didn't say a word after that. He just walked out. And I haven't seen him since. I kept the baby. The little boy. I don't speak to Chris. I don't speak to Mr. James either. He kept trying to contact me. Told me he loved me. Begged me to move in with him. But I couldn't do it. I realized this all started with a lack of self-respect. And now, I'm paying the price. People ask me if I regret it. The answer is yes. And no. Yes, because I destroyed a good man. I ruined a family. And I lost everything. No, because it forced me to face who I truly was. Someone weak. Easily tempted. But now, trying to become better. My story is ugly. But it's real. And if you're thinking of cheating, think again. One night of pleasure can cost you everything. I thought the worst was over. But it was only the beginning. Somehow, someone found out. I don't know if it was Mr. James. Or maybe Chris told someone. But within a week, my phone was blowing up. Text. Calls. People asking me if it was true. Some didn't even ask. They just judged. Screenshots of my old photos with Chris were all over social media. People calling me disgusting. A homewrecker. A snake. Some called me worse. Even people I'd never met DM'd me. Telling me to end my life. Telling me I deserved to suffer. My parents were ashamed. When I told them the truth, my mom cried for hours. My dad didn't say anything. He just packed a bag and left the house for the weekend. When he came back, he looked through me like I wasn't even his daughter anymore. He said, "We didn't raise you for this. You're dead to us." I had no words. Just tears. I felt like I lost everyone. The pregnancy got harder. Not physically, but mentally. I'd walk through town. Feel the eyes on me. The whispers behind my back. People avoided me. Even at the grocery store. No baby shower. No family support. No partner rubbing my belly or helping pick names. Just silence. And shame. Some nights, I would lie in bed. Staring at the ceiling. Wondering if the baby would hate me one day too. Mr. James didn't go away. He kept texting me. Calling from different numbers. He sent flowers. Money. Even tried showing up at my job once. He said things like, "We can start over. You, me, and the baby. A new family. I'll take care of you. I'll be a better man." I wanted to believe him. But every time I looked at him, all I could see was the destruction behind us. He wasn't just Chris's dad. He was the man who let it all happen. The one who knew better, but didn't stop. When I went into labor, I was alone. No hand to hold. No one waiting in the hospital hallway. Just me and fear. The baby was born a healthy boy. He had soft eyes. My nose. But something about him reminded me of both Chris and Mr. James. That's when I knew I had to find out the truth. So I did a DNA test. When the results came back, I sat on the floor of my apartment for hours before opening them. My hands were shaking. I was sweating. And finally, I read the words. Paternity probability, 99.9%, James, father of Chris. I cried. Not because I didn't expect it, but because it made it all real. This child wasn't just a baby. He was the living evidence of betrayal, of lies, of everything I broke. Months passed. I decided to write a letter to Chris. Not to beg, not to get him back, but to finally give him the closure he deserved. I told him everything. Every moment. Every lie. How I hated myself for what I did. How I knew he would never forgive me. But I hoped he would one day find peace. He never responded. But I heard from a friend that he read the letter. That was enough. It took me a long time to accept that this is my life now. I'm a single mom, with a child whose father is also his grandfather. The irony is so twisted, it sounds like fiction. But it's not. This is my truth. I've started therapy. I've cut off all contact with Mr. James. I don't date. I focus on my son, trying to raise him with love, even if the circumstances of his birth were dark. What have I learned? That one bad decision can change your life forever. That loss can blind you more than love ever will. That secrets always come out, no matter how deep you bury them. But most of all, I learned that healing starts with truth. No more lies. No more justifying. No more running. Just honesty. Even if it hurts. If you're in a relationship and you're unhappy, leave. Talk. Fix it. But don't cheat. Don't destroy trust just because you feel lonely. Don't seek excitement in places that will burn you alive. And especially, don't mess with family. It's not worth it. No matter how attractive the forbidden feels. Because once you cross that line, you can't go back. This isn't a happy story. There's no fairy tale ending. No, everything worked out. But it's honest. And sometimes, that's all we have left. If you've ever made a mistake, if you've ever lived with shame, just know you're not alone. We are all trying to survive the messes we made. And maybe, just maybe, we can grow from them too. My son is almost 2 now. He's beautiful, smart, loving. He runs to me every morning with that innocent smile. Like nothing bad ever happened. Like I didn't destroy a family to bring him here. But sometimes, when I look at him, I wonder what I'll say when he starts asking questions. Where's my dad? Why don't I have a grandpa? Why don't I have cousins from that side? How come I've never met anyone from that side of the family? How do I answer him without breaking his heart? I don't know exactly where Chris is now. He blocked me on everything. And honestly, I don't blame him. But I've heard things through mutual friends. He moved cities. Started over. He hasn't dated since. He barely talks to his father. Cut him off completely. The betrayal didn't just hurt him emotionally. It shattered his identity, his trust, his connection to his own father. And I did that. Sometimes, That guilt hits harder than anything else. Because I didn't just ruin a relationship. I ruined blood. You probably wonder what happened to Mr. James. At first, he was obsessed. He sent me letters. He tried to take me to court for visitation. Said he wanted to be in his son's life. But I knew the truth. He didn't want to father the child. He wanted control. He didn't love me. He was addicted to the power, the secret, the danger. And when I cut him off completely, he spiraled. One day, I got a message from a random number. It said, "You used me." Just like every woman does. I blocked the number immediately. He hasn't tried since. And I pray he never does. Therapy wasn't easy. I cried during the first 4 sessions. Not because I was sad, but because I was finally facing myself. I had to ask the hard questions. Why did I cheat? Why did I let temptation take over? Was I looking for validation? Was I trying to punish Chris for being distant? Or was I just selfish? The truth. I was lost. Lonely. Craving attention. But that doesn't excuse what I did. It just explains it. Even now, years later, people still talk. Some still whisper when I walk by. Others avoid me completely. I've even had moms at daycare stop inviting me to play dates. Like my child is cursed. Like I'm contagious. It's like I wear the scarlet letter across my chest. Cheater. Homewrecker. Father stealer. And maybe I deserve that. But my son doesn't. He didn't ask for any of this. He deserves a chance to live without the shadow of my mistake. That's why I'm working so hard to give him that. I don't date anymore. Not because I don't want love, but because I'm still healing. I'm focused on my son, on my career, on becoming the kind of woman I can respect. The kind of mother he can be proud of. Not someone who follows lust blindly, but someone who owns her past and grows from it. If I could talk to the version of me who was standing in Mr. James's kitchen that night, right before it all happened, I'd grab her hand and whisper, "Don't do this. You think it's just a kiss. You think it's harmless. But this one decision will change your entire life. It will haunt you. It will destroy someone you love. It will follow you forever. And no pleasure, no attention, no thrill is worth that." Why am I telling the world something so shameful? Because someone out there is on the edge. Tempted. Curious. Thinking. It's just once, it will stay a secret. I want to be the voice in your head saying, "Don't." It never stays a secret. And even if it does, you'll live in your own mental prison. If this story stops even one person from making the mistake I made, then maybe, just maybe, there's purpose in my pain. The hardest part isn't that people hate me, or that I lost friends, or even that I'm raising a child alone. The hardest part is learning to look in the mirror. There are days I still cry in the shower. Still think about what could have been. Still replay the moment I said yes to Mr. James. But every day, I try to forgive myself. Because if I don't, I'll never be free. This story isn't for everyone. Some will hate me. Others will judge. That's fine. But this is my truth. Raw. Ugly. Real. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for you to think. To feel. To ask yourself, what would I do in her shoes? And more importantly, how do I avoid ending up there? Because once you cross certain lines, there is no going back.
If this story made you feel something, anything, Share it. Comment below. Subscribe for more true stories that go deep into the rawest part of the human experience. This isn't gossip. This isn't drama for entertainment. These are confessions from real people. And sometimes, they're hard to hear. But sometimes, the truth is the most powerful story of all.